Facebook now.
We are live, it seems.
We are live.
Okay.
Excellent.
Hello, everyone. As we are coming to this 12th episode, which is a favorite of mine, and I guess it will become a favorite after the end of this episode of you guys as well, because this is something that we sometimes hide or sometimes hate to talk or not very transparent. The topic today is legacy. We are one, a podcast series, Freedom of the Free Spirited, and very how it is connected with the emotional well-being. The topic today is legacy, and today we have got a wonderful gentleman and a beautiful human who is accomplished a lot, but that I will leave it to my beautiful host to introduce. But before I jump into this topic, I wanted to just give you a little bit of my views on the topic legacy. Legacy is something people don't want to talk about it because they want to hide sometimes. Because what is legacy is we always attach to the material things, whether it is property, whether it is will, or whether it is anything that you have kept aside or saved aside for someone to cherish after you're gone. Now, this is something, is that the only legacy that you leave? Or is that the real legacy? That is what is all about that we are going to uncover from this beautiful personality today that we have got. So without further delaying, and my views on the legacy is very broad, that legacy is not just material things. Legacy is a lot of things that you are born with, that you come with, and then you live with, and then you have left with as well. So let's get into this beautiful topic, Freedom of the Free Spirited podcast series, which is number 12th episode today that we are bringing in live to all the audiences, and please feel free to jump in and talk to us. But this is now, I'm introducing once again back to Beck, who is our beautiful host, and she's going to do the honors for this topic today. Over to you, Beck.
Thank you, Shailesh. Thank you. And a very warm welcome to Bill, our guest speaker today, who we're going to chat into legacy and what legacy means to Bill, and how, I guess, his point of view and how important legacy is to him. So before we get into that, I just would like to introduce you all to Bill. So Bill is the Emmy-nominated creative director at Spirit Media. For over 30 years, Bill has produced events for hundreds of thousands, directed broadcasts for millions, and has acted as consultant for world-class organizations from startups to Fortune 500 companies. In 1999, Bill had a death experience that did challenge his worldview and approach to communication and marketing. So with years of research, led him to write the book, The 7 Disciplines of Relationship Marketing. And today he is recognized authority national speaker and workshop trainer of the 7 DRM system. In his free time, he loves family time, CrossFit, refining his chocolate chip cookie, which we will get into later on, and riding with his office buddy. So very warm welcome to you, Bill. Thank you for joining us today. And I'm excited to have this chat with you.
It's so good to be here, Beck, and good to see you again, Shailesh.
Likewise.
Both of us, we both have our tea. We're ready. We're totally ready to talk and
do.
share our hearts.
Absolutely. Yeah, once again, welcome, Bill.
Yeah, welcome. So very welcome. So Bill, to start this conversation, I would just like to start off, what does legacy actually mean to you?
Well, you know, the technical definition, usually, it's like Shailesh said, it's usually attached to money. It's usually attached to things you leave behind. And certainly that's a valid definition. And certainly if I'm in a position to leave things, fabulous. But more important, and this part of the stuff that I talk about in my book and in an upcoming book really talks about your brand soul. It's not something that's tangible that you touch, but legacy can be the values, the purpose, the missions of being able to make a difference in the world. And for me, I mean, I'll just come right out and say it. For us, our highest purpose here at our agency here at Spirit Media is what we call 360-degree love. Now, the idea of love, especially in the world we live in today is so needed, because at the heart of it is to be able to not just say the word love, but to say, what does it mean to express love? And that means also 360-degree love that says, I care about you, I respect you. It doesn't always mean I trust you, because trust is earned, but to be able to freely give love and the kindness and everything that goes with it is part of the legacy I pray that I leave for my children, my grandchildren, and for anybody that comes in contact with our agency. Because I believe that love multiplied has the power to change our world, has the power to bring healing, has the power to bring hope. And I think we need healing. I think we need hope. And I believe love's ultimately the answer. So when I think about legacy for me, it's probably not going to be mansions, in some fancy island anywhere. But I hope it is a legacy of the heart that I'm able to leave behind. To me, that's important.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I think that's a great you touched on that, and that's just to add to that. We always like to live after death. So what is life after death? We always talk that question to ourselves, ask that question, and legacy is not just attachments that we leave, but legacy is what our thoughts that we pass on to our kids or to our grandkids. And I think that's a very valid, you said that, Bill. I really agree with that 100%. So yeah, let's jump into uncovering lots of interesting things that we are going to come out of opening a can of worms of legacy. Because very well, common sensely, many people only attach legacy as material things. But I think life after death is not material, because you are not there to enjoy those material. So let's not worry about those material things. Let's real talk about what is real legacy. So yeah, cool. Over to you, Beck.
Yeah, so Bill, so we just touched on briefly, you had the death experience in 1999. So did you have this feeling around legacy prior to that, or did it come up with after your experience?
Well, it definitely came up after my experience. And I think the idea of legacy is something that evolves as we grow, hopefully in wisdom, but also grow in age. When I was young, heck, like a lot of people, we're busy making a life for ourselves. What does that do? What are my passions? What are my dreams? And some of those, tragically, if you look at kind of the rudder that we use to guide us, tragically, as kids, sometimes that rudder is made of fear, the fear of rejection, the fear of being hurt, the fear of being harmed, the fear of failing, but there's a season where hopefully that fear is replaced with a rudder that is composed of passion, and a passion for, what do I want to do with my life? What kind of dent do I want to make in the world? And we transition from thinking just about ourselves to, how can I make a life for others? How can I have an impact? But I can tell you that in addition to my death experience, which is a beautiful opportunity to face mortality right in the face.
Yeah.
And it is, and just for clarity, for those that haven't read my book or don't know my story, let me just say straight out, it was one of the greatest experiences of my entire life. Greatest experiences of my entire life, not only because of the after-death experience and the experience after that, but that realization of what a precious gift every breath we take is.
Yeah.
And it was from that I realized, if we're given this precious gift every day, I didn't earn it, I didn't deserve it. It's not like I checked in somewhere and paid for it. We're given this precious gift. Then how are we going to use that precious gift to make a difference in the lives of others? So that was wake up, probably number one. And it's something that's been processing. Well, over this last year, in fact, since my death experience, I first lost my father. And January 2nd of 2021, I lost my mother. And so I spent the last 2 months of her life, I moved in and I was her caregiver. And I had that opportunity to just spend time with this incredible woman that poured herself into her career, into serving my father, because my father was ill a lot of his life, and in me, because I was an only child.
Mm.
And I got to ask her questions about what was important to her. And yeah, she was not a wealthy woman, but I realized the most powerful legacy she implanted in our family. And I asked her several times, even up to the week before her passing, I said, Mom, what's the most important thing? She said, be kind to each other. Be kind, which to me is an act of love.
Yeah.
And I carried that, I shared that at her memorial service. And I spent the last year really still kind of in mourning. There's a soft spot there, that the pain of the loss of someone. And I know that here we've experienced the pain of the loss of someone in our life, that pain doesn't go away, but that pain transforms. And I also came to the realization that, yes, not only am I an orphan, but I'm an only child. And everybody previous to me in my family line has passed. And I'm the last one, other than going now into my children.
Yeah.
And that recognition this last year was sobering. And I had to take a breath, and not to say in a bad way, but kind of like, you're next. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes people make vision boards? It's something I encourage. Again, it's something from my book. I talk about vision being the puzzle pieces of your life. And their earlier puzzle pieces of my life, my vision board might have had me speaking and sharing, the dream of writing a book, the dream of being more courageous, the dream of making a lasting impact. But now I can tell you that on that vision board, one of the things that's in the corner of that vision board is a travel bag, a suitcase that's packed and ready to go. And some people might look at it and go, oh, you're going to travel, you're going to do this. Yeah, what that says is, I want to be ready.
Yes.
And I want to be packed. I want to have things in order.
Yeah.
And part of that, is legacy. So when I go, like my mom left the gift of kindness, I pray that I have left the seed of love with my children and those. And it's part of the reason of writing a book and writing a second book. Can I leave that message that will last beyond me? That'll be the greatest legacy I can live.
Wow, that's beautiful. And so let's go into the 5 keys to building a lasting legacy.
Yeah, well, that is going to be the core of my next book. And it started out with the 7 disciplines, because when, look, I grew up in TV and entertainment marketing. So, and I'm not a theologian, even though I had this experience and people think, oh, it's Mr. Spiritual. Look, I'm not a theologian. I can only share what I experienced.
Yeah.
But after that experience, I really dug deep and I dug hard. And when I looked at some of the mentors of my life and some of the people that had the most profound impact in the world, I looked at even great corporate founders like Apple. I looked at great entertainers like Lady Gaga. And then I grew up Catholic, and I certainly looked at the life of Christ and said, okay, what do I see here? What's the pattern here? And one of the most foundational elements, and it's the first discipline, is I call it the discipline of mission. And when you break that down, I see 5 key elements. And the first one is clarity about purpose. When I was talking about the rudder of our life and what we're using, and sometimes we start out and the rudder's made of pain, and then it's made of passion. But there's a point where we mature and we grow in wisdom and we get perspective. And that rudder hopefully is crafted from purpose. And that purpose answers a really critical question about, why am I here?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with my life? And there's ways that we can do this. There's a lot of great people that talk about purpose. In my book, I talk about the idea of using a kind of a compass, if you will, that is made up of passion and aptitude and experiences. And when you look at the trajectory of our life and you say, wow, I'm really passionate about this, or I have this aptitude, things start to manifest and become clear. And it's like taking a magnifying glass and recognize the precious fingerprint of the divine that we all have. And that helps shape purpose. But after you go through that exercise, and I pray people do, a lot of people give it lip service because it's hard. They kind of slip away from it and they stop doing the heavy work.
Yeah.
Do the work. Do it. Consider it an undone thing that you're not going to press on until you get a hold of that piece, because from that you get to the next piece of that mission manifesto, and that is missions. One of the things that I notice among great leaders is that they treat missions in sets of multiples. In other words, you have a purpose, like I need to accomplish this, but what missions must I accomplish? Purpose you live, missions you can accomplish. And going back to, I said Jesus was one of the people that I used as a reference point. He actually had 26 missions. And you go, oh, this is fascinating. And so instead of being bound by looking at some plaque that says, here's my mission, and you stick it on the wall, a lot of us do, which is sometimes a purpose, whatever. Don't handicap yourself that way. Look at what missions must you. And there's financial missions, there's personal missions, there's spiritual missions, there's brand missions, there's culture missions. All those pieces fit together, and you can be really honest about what we need to do and then prioritize those. That leads to the next, the third element of a mission manifesto, and that's goals. Now, we're friends, I'll be honest with you. COVID was not good to my weight. And I did not always eat the right thing, and I wasn't always as active as I should be. And so I've got some issues that I need to lose some pounds. And a lot of people going into the new year, they go, okay, I'm going to lose some weight. It's kind of a goal, as if, wouldn't it be nice if, or gee, I ought to. But I'll tell you why I want to lose weight. I want to be in the best condition I can be for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
I want to be the Papa Bill that runs up hills, that pushes them on sleds and rides their bikes with them and climbs mountains with them and can do all those things. And I want to have the stamina and the energy to be with friends like you. So you'd say, oh, here it is on a Thursday. Well, it's Thursday evening for me here. Instead of going to bed and thinking, oh, it's time to put on my pajamas and call it a night, I get to be with you. And I want to have the energy and the passion, the stamina to do that. So I have a goal, but it's directly tied to a mission. So when you take those missions, a goal is never a standalone. A goal is tied to the mission, and it becomes an actionable vehicle to provide accountability, a timeline, and who's responsible to do that. So goals are no longer a wouldn't it be nice if. They are a mission critical and deadline driven.
Yeah.
Okay. And a lot of people talk about SMART goals, like specific, measurable, attainable. Some people say realistic. I don't buy into that one, because I think that our greatest goals and our greatest purposes and missions should be a little bit out of our reach. And I want people to think aspirationally, to not what can I do, but what could I possibly do if I became this? So that our goals and even our missions are not about achieving something, but about becoming something.
Yeah.
And that leads to the next one, and that's going to be values. Values is the fourth key driver around building a purposeful legacy. Now, I will say, and I don't know all the experiences you're having, COVID has been a beautiful opportunity to reveal to us the debate that people have about goals.
Yes.
For example, goals often, values often compete. And one of the competitions here in the States is we have people that value safety. It's not a bad value. It's a good value. Safety should be a good one.
Yeah,
Then we also have people that value personal freedom and individual liberty.
Yes.
Okay. That's not a bad value either.
No.
However, unless you prioritize them and decide the filter through which you will view them and execute them, you've got values doing this.
Yes.
And that's why I'd say a value is most important when you put overalls on it and you put it to work and you prioritize it. And ideally, look for just three of the most important values that you carry, because that will be the framework for how you will move forward with really that last stage. And I'm not saying it has to be last. It doesn't have to be in this order, but that's vision.
Yeah.
Because once you get a handle on purpose, and a lot of us secretly, we have a little bit of vision in front of us, but our world wants to tell you what your vision should be.
Yeah.
And the world is constantly shoving puzzle pieces at you, saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. When in fact, when you think about the right vision, it should be like the cover of a puzzle box.
Yeah.
That you don't just stare at pieces, you look at the cover of the puzzle box and now you pick the pieces because you know where they go.
Yeah.
In marketing right now, on average, here in the world, we get somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 brand impressions a day. And most of those brand impressions are really telling you that you're inadequate.
Yeah.
They're saying, you're not good enough unless you smell like this. You're not good enough unless you dress like this, or drive like this, or live like this, or whatever it is. But that vision puzzle gives you the freedom to say, no, that's a distraction. No, thank you. That doesn't belong in my puzzle.
Yes.
And it also saves you, like when I was a little kid, I used to take puzzle pieces and I would go, and I would push them together like, oh, these gotta fit. These got, and I'd bend the pieces and I'd make a mess of my puzzle. But man, when you have a vision, it not only gives you clarity, but it gives you the power to focus on what's really important.
Yes.
And when you put those 5 pieces together, and including how you will use your life to serve others, that is the foundation of a powerful legacy.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a long answer, but there you go. It's all 5.
That's great.
I want to jump in here with your permission. You said
no, only Beck asked the question.
Beck will ask the question. I just want to analyze my own understanding. I want to understand my understanding, Bill. It's not a question. It's actually a resonation of something that I felt, that when you said one is purpose, missions, all this compiling into the way you live, the way your journey you decide to live or choose to live, so that you leave a legacy of those things that people can, or your surroundings can analyze after death. So after your death, I wanted to experience that after your death experience, and you chose to do certain things in a certain way of, as you said rightly, and I agree completely, that when you are a kid, you want to adjust the puzzle and you want to get the mission done quickly. So no matter whatever it is, you want to just adjust that puzzle the way you want to, rather than what it is supposed to be. And to me, life is a puzzle. we always try to adjust, we always try to adapt, we always try to uncover ourselves, where to adjust, who to adjust. So in terms of that, and I like the way 5 keys that you mentioned also about it. But in terms of what is your message to the audiences who are listening here, is like, what is the message, the way after that? So I can say now that, yes, you have experience after death as well. We don't have to really die to get an experience. Every
No.
single moment you are actually dying in a way.
Mhm.
So what's the message to the audience is, how do they really see their journey? Not from your point of view, but just as a general viewpoint of view, what you have experienced yourself, you said, rather than doing it to someone else. What's your experiences that you would like to share with the audience?
Well, my experience is pretty crazy. I mean, it's not everybody gets the opportunity to like physically die and have a profound after death experience.
True.
But you know what? All of us have had death experiences.
Mm,
It doesn't have to be a physical death. There's a lot of people
mm,
that have had death of their finances,
mm,
death of a career,
mm,
death of a relationship,
mm.
death of a dream.
Mhm.
And those things are equally powerful.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that I think sometimes we struggle with, because we don't want to be hurt. We don't, and if you don't see things happening in your time,
Mm,
it's easy to think maybe it's not going to happen.
mm,
Um, and I think there's a lot of us that, for fear of being hurt any longer, we basically pull out a shovel and we dig a grave. And we put those things that are precious to us, our dreams, sometimes our hopes, we bury them. And we stand there over that grave with a hole in our heart, but a sense of, well, at least maybe I will stop being hurt, maybe. We do that to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
yeah.
And the same way, I believe the power of the resurrection of it could be resurrection of the power of your dream. There can be resurrection of the power of your hopes. There can be resurrection of the power of your relationships. And look, it rarely happens exactly the way we write it. In fact, in the 7 disciplines, I talk about plan A, that our plan A is what we end up having to really bury. Is not that dream, but the way we want it to happen.
Mhm.
But I am a firm believer that as we go humbly and step forward in anticipation of what that could be, and we press on in faith and perseverance,
Mm,
that the answer to that prayer, if you will, is plan B. And for many of us, we thought plan B is a failure, but
mm.
I've learned that plan B stands for plan blessed,
Oh, wow.
because
Brilliant.
it's a more powerful plan. It's a more richer plan. It's a
Mm,
plan that comes with perspective and grace and understanding, not just for the blessing that we receive as we walk through that, but hopefully the grace we can give to others.
mm,
Because virtually everybody you walk on the streets is in the process of either just getting over a tragedy,
mm,
in the middle of a tragedy, or about to experience one. And the process that we all go through in becoming the best version of ourselves is messy. And the ugliness of that transformation is in front of us every day. And we can pick on it and say, oh, that's horrible, or you're bad, or you're not smart enough, or this. Or we could just recognize that inside all of us is a person in transformation, and we're learning and we're growing. Some of us are in different places. And part of that idea of a legacy of love is to be able to look into the eyes of every human heart and say, I know you're in process, but I believe in what you can become. And I want to participate in helping you fulfill that, and not to be the one that persecutes you as you're experiencing that.
Yes. Yeah.
So will it be fair to say that legacy to you, and what I understand is like, basically first thing is like, yes, it's all about others, and it's all about kindness and love that you could shed while you are here, so that you can create those legacies with this kind of approach. First, think about others, and then also spread kindness and love to the others. That's one of the key aspects when you start the legacy or create a legacy on whatever grounds terms that you call it. Will it be fair to say that?
It is very fair to say that. And I think a really important thing too is sometimes, when in the entertainment business, when we want someone to know that something big is going to happen, we kind of, I don't know if you can hear this by mic, but you always have this drum roll. It's like, oh boy, and we've all been cued. Something's about to happen, and then the drum stops and the cymbal hits, and that's when, I don't know, the elephant jumps into a pool or whatever it is. The thing is, we think that legacy is only on that sting, but the truth is that legacy is every drum beat, every breath. We don't have to wait 10 years, 20 years, 20 minutes, because we can be investing in that legacy right now.
Yeah.
Every breath we take, every life we touch is another seed of planting that legacy. And you don't know. That's a beautiful thing about investing in others, is that you don't know today if the words, here's the three of us have the privilege of just hanging together and talking about something that's so deep. But who is watching this that needs to hear this?
Yeah.
That needs to break free from the bondage of thinking that their life cannot have a powerful legacy, to think that their dreams are dead, to think that their hopes are hopeless, but to be able to say, no, your life has value.
Definitely.
Your life has profound meaning. And even though it might not look like this or look like that, and maybe your plan A is not working, but plan B is there for you. And if you need to hear that and you go out and do that, I am crazy excited, because of the legacy that you and I will never see. But who knows how this message will be multiplied in the lives of others for maybe generations to come.
Definitely.
Totally agree with that.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So Beck, you have something to tell.
Oh, I'm just soaking it all in. I've got lots of notes on this. Legacy is definitely
Well,
it's an important part of my life, legacy. So it's definitely, it's nice to hear another point of view and how we apply legacy to our lives on a daily, not just in the future, but now. So it's really nice. Yeah.
I think what Bill said, that every moment that we breathe is actually has an opportunity to create a legacy.
Definitely.
Every breath that we take. And as he said, like plan B is not just a plan B. Plan B is a blessed plan B.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love that
Statement, because many people are looking for success right at the very first time. Whatever they do, they think this is only, and with that fear, they try to do, and they end up not doing it with that fear of success. And I think what Bill touched on is plan B is always there. It's always two sides of the coin. So there is always plan B should be there. for anyone, and nobody is. And I love what you said, Bill, that it really touched me that, everybody has overcome some tragedy, everybody is going through some tragedy, and everybody is waiting for some tragedy. So these are just like a part and parcel of our journey. But these tragedies also give opportunities and options to create legacies, because these are all our learning tools, basically. So I think it's powerful for people who are listeners and listening. This is a powerful message that Bill is giving us today in terms of the legacy. But I guess more emphasis is on I liked that investing in others. And that's one of the key ingredient of this whole conversation of legacy, because legacy is about others. You're thinking about future of others to leave something for them, whether it is material or whether it is any good deeds or whether it is good feelings that you are leaving. It's leaving for others, not for yourself. So that's a very powerful message, I guess. And I'll resonate with that 100%, that yes, your purpose on this journey is for others. Your mission is for others. But you are also becoming others when others think about you. So you are in that others league. So we all are others, basically, in a way.
Yeah.
Does that be fair to say, Bill?
Oh, definitely. And I think, with the values and your morals and, installing them in your daily life to then be able to allow that to, to continue on once you're gone.
Yeah, I think it's, I think we underestimate even the power of our own lives. I think in large part because, we take for granted that we're going to go to bed tonight and we're going to wake up tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I spoke with a group of business people just the other day. I was just kind of looking at the statistics, and I was kind of wrapping up my talk, and I started to do this. And I always laugh because I think just about now you're ready for me to break into song and sing some kind of cool song.
Yeah.
And I could, but it wouldn't really bless you. But the reason I'm snapping is because that is just about the rate that another person is dying. That today, on the average, 150,000 people will leave this earth.
Yeah.
And the fact that we get to sit here with friends and talk about life and talk about what can we do with our life and what goes forward. And anybody who watches this, the thing that I don't forget from my death experience is that our next breath is a gift. And it's a gift that I didn't earn, I didn't deserve. But it is not only a gift, but it's, for me, in my faith, it says that someone loves me, that my life has meaning, my life has purpose.
Yeah.
And if today, unlike those people that left in the snap of a finger, you're here, you have a reason to make an impact in this world. You have been given a gift to make an impact in this world. Your life does have value, and the divine has given you this breath and is cheering for you, cheering for you to live in the fullness of everything you can be.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's going to be messy.
Yeah.
It's not always going to be pretty. We talk about, a lot of times we talk about like butterflies. And butterflies are this beautiful thing about transformation. In fact, I have a newsletter now on LinkedIn. Big deal. I actually started a newsletter. My first newsletter went out. So if anybody's on LinkedIn, go sign up for the newsletter. But I talked to this last newsletter about butterflies, because I think it's such a cool story. I went back and I actually looked, what happens to butterflies?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is, get ready for this. I hope if anybody's eating that, they've stopped for a second, because caterpillars in the pupa stage, all they do is they eat and eat and eat and eat, okay? But when the time comes for them to transform and to go in the cocoon, they go in and three things happen. Crazy things happen. The first thing that happens when they go in the cocoon is all these digestive juices that were used on this pupa turns on itself.
Mm.
And it starts consuming stuff it doesn't need anymore. For example, you think about a caterpillar and it has these kind of pseudo legs. Guess what? Those things that became the very identity of the caterpillar is now going to be stripped away.
Yeah.
So the identity is stripped away. The second thing that happened is that the organs inside this little creature start to transform, and they change shape and structure from a crawling to a flying creature. But the third thing that's so miraculous is it starts to sprout things that never existed before. And it's the beginning of wings. And that process inside that little shape, that little cell there, is really ugly and messy until it breaks out as this beautiful butterfly. The ugly truth is that all of us are in that process. But we don't have the protection of a cocoon to hide from it. Everybody has to watch the hideous process of transformation in each one of us every day. And we have to look in the mirror and be able to say, you're in process. You're growing. Today, you may be stripped of those things you held dear that you thought were important, but you got to let go. Today, you're going to stretch things that existed to prepare you for the next journey. Or today, you're going to sprout things that never existed before. But you can look in the mirror and say, I love you. I love you through this process. And I can love others through the process because I know the outcome is going to be beautiful and miraculous. But if we recognize that, we can love each other through the process instead of always poking at each other and saying, what's wrong with you?
Definitely.
Say, you're in process.
It's definitely a beautiful analogy of life, that's for sure.
It's a fun one, especially the having my legs dissolved off because I don't need them anymore. Yeah. Hate that when that happens. And for that reason, there are some people that won't get in the cocoon.
Very much so.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. Shailesh, is there anything that you would like to add to finish up our conversation today?
Just one before we finish. I wanted to ask Bill a personal kind of a thing. Legacy for you, which we touched today, was beautiful. That legacy is not just about like breathing every day, every moment is something that you can create a legacy of your own to pass on. And it's not only properties and wealth, what you described. Just give me one thing, like before you had this experience of death, what did anything changed for you in terms of the legacy meaning or legacy, the way you defined what you see today and what you had before your death experience? Is there any changed for you?
Well, probably the most significant was, I asked the question, why did I get to come back?
Yes.
And in some cases, there's a period where you even go through a little bit of guilt. Because I go, because there's some people don't come back. And I don't know why. I don't know why some people do, some people don't. That's above my pay grade, But I recognized that every single one of us is here because we have things left to do.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think it was, I forget who said it. I should know this quote. I want to say, I thought it was Mark Twain that said that two of the most important times in a person's life is the first is when they're born, and the second is when they understand why. And for me, it began that journey of understanding why. And it's not like, again, I'm not a theologian. I don't have it all figured out. I'm on a journey, and today I'm still processing my death. I'm still processing it. In fact, I mean, just to be blunt, if you don't mind, Shailesh,
Sure.
probably
Sure.
of the three of us,
Yeah.
there's one person, and it's Beck, who's brilliantly emotionally intelligent and far more in tune with things like this than we are. She probably gets things and feels things much quicker. Because a lot of us guys, we put on our shields and we're doing all our stuff and put on our mask. And I definitely was one of those people. Because I was afraid to feel, because if you feel, you might hurt. And if you hurt, you might be vulnerable. If you might be vulnerable, you might be hurt more or taken advantage. It's just a game that I think male culture wrestles with.
Yeah.
And so that process of feeling, for example, the fact that I can tell you this last year, I've been sad. I could have never told you I felt sad before.
Yeah.
Ever. It was a breakthrough that this last year I finally came to grips with. I feel sad. So it's a long way of saying that I'm in process of completely grasping all that happened in my death. But I celebrate every day that one day fear drove me. There was another season when just my passions drove me. But I'm in a season where my purpose drives me. My absolute purpose. I'm continuing to get clarity on that. And failing, screwing up, making mistakes, but failing forward every day. And I will fall on my face forward every day to the day I finally die for the last time. But when I do, I hope that I've instilled that love. And by watching me, I hope I've instilled courage to say it's okay to fail. It's okay to not be good at something, because especially anything you want to be great at, before you're great, you're probably bad at it. You don't get great by just making a decision. You get great by failing at it. And I'm in that process. I'm totally in that process. And we're all in the process. And it's totally okay. It's completely okay. Let's all fail forward together and give each other grace and love on the journey.
Lovely.
Absolutely. Very well said, Bill. Thank you so much. This is great. And I take this one message from here, and to all the listeners who are listening also, to take this opportunity to see that death is not the be all and end all of your legacy, but living is your legacy. And I think what you said, two things only as a human, when you are born and why you are born. You just have to do those two things and just uncover those and keep breathing with your own journey creating. So I think that's very well said. So people have got the misconception of saying, okay, after I die, I want to leave this for someone and something. But why can't they think when they are alive? Why can't they do when they are alive rather than after death? So I think legacy has changed the language, changed the meaning of legacy to me is today. For me, the legacy meaning is living in the moment, but also living the legacy every single breath that you do, so that you are not forgotten even when you're gone, basically, because you still live. You are never gone, basically. That's, I will end that with my resignation. And I think beautifully said that. So I leave this now to take over the legacy to Beck, who is our most intelligent host here, who can finish the whole thing.
Thank you so much, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to be able to speak with you today, Bill. And there's definitely a lot that I've got to take away from today. You know, just exactly living every day, you know, is important to be able to live your legacy rather than, you know, build it up and hand it over at the end. So I think, you know, to pass on the values and the missions as we go is definitely more important.
Yes.
So thank you so much. And we will chat again soon. I'm sure we have many more topics that we can chat with you about. But thank you so much for today. It was very much appreciated that you were able to join with us.
Oh, thank you, Beck. Thank you, Shailesh. It's so great to see you again. And I'm here for you.
I would love to have more topics, Bill, with you. I think you got a wealth of wisdom, and why wait when we can do now? I take this opportunity, and we might probably have to create a series of events with you.
I'm here for you, my friend. Anytime. We just get it on the calendar. I'm here for you anytime, my friend.
Excellent. Excellent.
Lovely. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks very much. Last word, Bill, from you to the audience. You can say the last word.
The last word, love with all your heart. Love with all your heart. That's all I'll say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very well. So listeners and audiences, please take whatever you can take from today's conversation, and probably you can look at your legacies that you might be thinking of what to leave as a legacy. It's not materials. It's actually what you live every single breath, and what you pass on to your surroundings and to your family and to your friends and everyone. So that's what I would say. Rethink about your legacies. So this is not something that you had to be attached, but you had to pass on, not physically, but everything mentally and emotionally, and also as a human being that you want to pass on to other human being. So others is the most important, that you have to look out for others, because legacy is all about others, and you are also others when others think of you, basically.
Yeah.
So well done. Thank you so much, Bill, and I appreciate your today's valuable time that you have given to us from all your hard work that you do every single day, and we really learned from you a lot. I learned. So I would like you to be once again bringing you back on my show, and with other topics that would really matters to the audiences, would love to listen to this. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.